Audrey, Joseph. Here. Yes. There you go. Oh, my pleasure. The best one where I don't have to show any faces online.
You didn't do the half-half? Did you guys sleep okay?
What's that? Yes, you have to, yes. Well, not necessarily. If you, yeah, you can actually, you're connected. So that's a failback. If something goes wrong, you can always use the tabletop, but you should be connected. You are connected to the conference visually.
Thank you for the pep talk.
Somebody else has now joined aboard.
Hi, it's Natalie.
Morning.
Hi, Natalie. It's Mark.
Hey, Mark. How's it going?
No.
Well, I'm now 3 weeks out from my foot surgery, so I'm getting more and more mobile every day, but I still can't walk.
Oh, gosh. Well, I'm glad it's on the upswing.
There you go.
You know if anybody actually went in for the meeting?
I heard voices over there when I signed in. So I know there are people there. I just don't know who is down there.
That's good. There'll be something for them to film.
Hello, everybody. It's Aurelio.
Hi, Aurelio. It's Natalie.
Hey. Hey. Hello.
Hey, Roy. It's Mark.
Hey, Mark. How you doing?
Great. Hey, did I tell you about Barefoot, the one you helped me with on the amicus brief?
No. What happened?
Good. Good fun.
The Supreme Court reversed it entirely in accordance with our amicus brief. It's like they adopted it word for word.
But Mark, like only you doubted your own brilliance on this one. You know, this was cooked into the books. That's awesome.
Well, the respondents dismissed our brief as not knowing what we were talking about. They literally did.
Opinion.
Okay, will do.
Yeah, that'll be awesome. A rare bright spot in the last couple weeks. You know.
Sound check, testing,
well,
1, 2, 3.
I only did it because you told me I could do it. So I appreciate your confidence in me.
So that's you know, a lot of times these amicus like the Me Too, the yeah I agree me too like kind of like parade, they glaze their eyes over at it, but when they get something
Testing,
from
1,
someone that
2,
knows what
3.
they're doing
Testing.
and gives them a nice, you know, clean, quick approach, like that's manna from heaven for these people. So that's awesome. That's great. I can't wait to read it.
Cool. I'll send it along later.
Nice. So are we? So we have Mark. We have Natalie. We have me. Is there anyone else online yet?
Well, you got folks there live. I'm not sure who's live at the meeting.
Yeah. Is
And
there anybody?
Adrian just sent the PowerPoint to us.
Oh, that's what I was going to ask. The PowerPoint from the IAPP people.
Mhm.
Yeah, hey guys, it's Adrian. I'm at the State Bar office in LA with Janelle and Audrey. I think let's just give it a couple minutes before.
Link live stream
members
somewhere
call in.
here.
Oh, okay. Oh, so we're gonna is Adrian here?
Hey, Aurelio, I'm here.
Hey, okay. Okay. We will call the meeting to order, the March 13th meeting of the California Board of Legal Specialization. We're here. I don't believe there are any members actually. I think we're all calling in. With that, I will turn to Adrian to call the roll.
Of course. Acosta,
Present.
Hammerschmidt, Hershenson, Lester,
Present.
Levy, Torre,
Here.
and Vance.
Here.
Thank you.
So we are just above quorum land.
I was going to say, do we have quorum?
So we have
There's
we have
enough.
4 people here,
Yeah.
and
And good
Rob
morning,
can
Rob
be-
just joined.
Way to go, Hershenson.
I'm sorry to
I'm-
interrupt the
I'm there.
committee. May I also advise that if you speak, please, if you're using a device like a speakerphone to speak, please try to be as close to the mic as possible. Some of you are not coming in very clearly, and the captioning is unable to hear you because you sound kind of distant and muzzled up.
Okay, thanks.
Lester,
Thanks for
sorry about that.
Okay, and with that, now that we've called roll, actually, well, before I get to that, Rob, how is everything? I don't want to, pry or anything, but, happy thoughts and all that stuff. I just hope that everything is okay, and, so I just wanted to say that.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. My mom is recovering well, had some surgery, is recovering well, and full expectation that she'll get to return home tomorrow after a week in the hospital. Of course, she lives in a retirement type community. It's on complete lockdown. So once she actually gets home, nobody can visit her. but
Right.
thank God she's doing well, right? So, but thank you for that. I appreciate you asking.
No, thank you, and frankly, you're going above and beyond even being here telephonically today. So I appreciate it, and happy thoughts and prayers and all that stuff.
Thank you.
So with that, we'll go to public comment. If there are any members of the public here telephonically or otherwise who wish to comment on any topic, are there any? Okay, hearing none, then I believe we will go on to the next portion of our agenda, which is the staff reports, and that would be the first part would be to staffing updates, and that would be Amy.
Hi. Good morning, everyone. Thank you all for joining. I know that this setup is very different for us in terms of our meeting format. I think most of us can say that we've spent a lot of time this week addressing coronavirus issues and making sure that we are safe and that we are able to also operate. So it's been a tough week, but I think we're getting all of these issues addressed. So with that, let me talk about the first item, which is a staffing update. We currently have 3 vacancies on the legal specialization unit. So Wes Galen, who most of you met at previous meetings, left the State Bar earlier this month, which has left 2 open program specialist positions. And we still have the vacant program supervisor position. So with that, we continue with recruitment for all of those positions. I'd also like to introduce you to Audrey Ching, which is going to be hard for you to do. Is going to be hard to do because most of you are by phone. But Audrey is our new assistant director in the Office of Admissions. And just a little bit about her background. She brings 25 years of supervising experience, extensive experience in team and leadership development, and she's also served as an administrator in multiple capacities. She was an assistant dean at Golden Gate University in the School of Taxation and Accounting, and she's also been the director of business and professional development at the California Society of CPAs. So we're thrilled that she's joined the Office of Admissions, and she's going to be managing, one of the teams she's managing is a legal specialization unit, and so you will all get to work and meet Audrey shortly. She's actually attending the meeting in person, so she's with the unit in Los Angeles right now.
Good morning.
Welcome,
Hi, this
Cal.
is Audrey. Thank you. Nice to meet you all virtually.
Welcome aboard. Welcome aboard. Nice to meet you. I think we're in good hands. Okay, and turning from that, I guess Amy and Lisa will be giving an oral report on recent developments.
Yes. Okay, yes. And Lisa's also on the call as well. All right, so just a quick update that the October 2019 Legal Specialist Examination grading has been completed. As a matter of fact, results are scheduled to be released today at 2 p.m. Examinees are scheduled to receive their results through the Ames portal, and they were reminded about this on this past Monday. So for us to know, the overall pass rate for all exams and takers was 72.6, which appears to be comparable to previous exam cycles. So I just want to thank the team, the graders, and all of the effort that went into the grading process, but it was successful. The next item is about the CBLS 2020 work plans that were approved by the board yesterday. So at our last meeting, if you recall, was a teleconference that was held on February 5th. We met to finalize the CBLS work plan. That was submitted to the board, and as I mentioned, it was approved along with other committee work plans at the board meeting yesterday. There are no other action items required from the CBLS. However, this is just to inform you on the status, and we plan to provide these to everyone today, and we can do that via email as a follow-up.
Okay.
We could also
but it just,
post
I take it that it was approved with like the minor tweaks that we added to it in our last teleconference.
Exactly. That's why we'd like to share it so that everybody was on board with what the final version was, and this incorporates the tweaks that we discussed on February 5th. Adrian has put them up on the webcast.
Okay. Is everyone else on the webcast?
I wasn't. This is Mark. I moved over to the agenda that he sent via email for real time.
Okay.
I have the webcast. This is Norma, but I can't read anything on it. Whatever.
That's exactly what I was going to say. It's actually not the attachment. It's in the same format I recall it having been in before, but you actually can't make out the words on the webcast.
I'm wondering if it would be beneficial if Adrian sent the PDF work plan to the everybody to the committee. Would that be helpful?
I have it that I think that's attachment A that he sent to you. This is Mark, and I can if that's attachment A, it looks fine to me.
Okay.
Attachment.
Actually,
okay. Yeah, let me see. When that was sent. Okay, like that was the one that was sent 6 minutes ago. Okay.
Yes.
Yes, that one reads from that email. That one reads perfectly for me.
Okay.
Did everyone else get that email?
Yes, I got it.
Okay.
Got it.
Wonderful.
Okay.
Okay.
That looks good, Amy. Thank you.
Oh, no problem. Thanks. Adrian has been really on top of it. As you recall, I've been out of the office for almost 2 to 3 weeks with a foot injury, or recovering from foot surgery. All right. So then
Amy?
the next item is, yes?
Amy, this is Mark.
Yes?
I've had foot surgery on February 20th. I'm in an old walking shoe. I've had a scooter, so I empathize completely.
Thank you. Yes, we are colleagues in recovery. Yeah, it's really been a whirlwind, but more to come. So Admissions Information Management System is the last update. This is our new AIM system, or relatively new. We've actually, this month will be a year that we've been using the system. As you may recall, we renewed a contract with the previous vendor, Slalom, for a remediation process. We're about to end that contract at the end of March. A few of the like remediation items that were implemented for legal specialization include an interface with CLE. So for continuing education credits, it went live in February, so that some of that information can be tracked within AIMS. Also, legal specialization fees, we're going to have an interface that's going to be launched this month. And as I've already mentioned, this is going to be the first cohort to receive the results that are going to be posted in AIMS later on this afternoon. So the system is up and running, and we've been able to successfully execute some corrections and enhancements that we needed in this next cycle with Slalom.
Okay.
So with that, I'm wondering if anybody has any questions on recent developments.
This is Mark. I don't. Thanks.
No, thank you very much.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Thanks. All right. Well, after that, we'll go to the consent portion of our agenda, and the first thing we'll do is we'll go to the approval of the December 13th public meeting minutes. Does everyone have those up or have access to them?
Yes.
I do, yes.
I do.
Okay. And has everybody looked them over? I can't see anything that I would change, so.
This is Natalie. I move to approve the meeting minutes.
I second. This is Rob.
Rob seconds. All those in favor? Aye.
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 Aye. This is Lester.
And,
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, I think that's unanimous. We approve the December 13th minutes. And for we also have the February 5th minutes from our teleconference, and that had the same, that linked from the same page. Does everybody have access to those, and has everybody glanced at those?
Yes.
Okay. So I would, I'd call for a motion to approve the February 5th minutes, public meeting minutes.
This is Norma, second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? None opposed. It's unanimous. We approve the minutes from
Hey,
February
Aurelio.
5th.
Sorry, this is Adrian.
Okay, we will go on now to
Aurelio?
the business section of our agenda and
Aurelio?
to the report on financial and
Aurelio?
operational key indicators. And with that, we would turn to Amy again.
Aurelio?
Sorry for
Aurelio?
interrupting.
Yes.
For the minutes, I apologize. I couldn't hear who called that motion for the February 5 public meeting minutes.
I called it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay.
Okay.
All
Okay,
right.
Amy, thanks.
So, sure. So the key indicators are a standing agenda item for the CBLS, and what they do is they serve to inform the board on the health of the program. And there are four central indicators that we report on in this area. The first is the budget, and unfortunately, we're unable to report on quarter four since financial statements have not been completed for calendar year 2019. State Bar typically waits 3 months to ensure that the books close appropriately. However, we do plan to provide this at our next legal specialization meeting. And also in lieu of that, we considered sharing the board approved budget for legal specialization for calendar year 2020, and we will do that as a follow-up. That is not a substitute for this portion, so we still plan on providing the quarter four financial statements. Another key indicator that looking at program health is the total number of specialists. And we've included that summary in this report. The program has experienced growth, which is measured by the slight increase in the number of specialists compared to last year. The areas that saw the largest increases were workers' compensation and estate. Both of those categories together make up about 2/3 of the total increase. And the areas, Admiralty and Maritime saw the largest decrease, 4 in total. The other item that is incorporated in here is resignations. As you can see in this report, for 2019 at year-end closure, it was very similar to 2020. And as for year-to-date resignations, they appeared to be normal. The majority of 2020 resignations so far are due to retiring attorneys, and there's also been an increase for inactive and emeritus status. The last indicator that we include in this report is the process of maintaining one certification, the requirement for maintaining 36 hours or complying with 36 hours of specialist-approved continuing education or an equivalent. And for this report period, we're looking at Compliance Group 3, which were due to report compliance by February 1st, 2019. This included about 1,949 specialists. And so I mentioned this earlier, but this is the first cohort that's able to report compliance in AIMS. There are a total of 980 specialists that have submitted compliance. 96 of those started in the AIMS. 34 completed those in AIMS. And as you'll see later on, we have an agenda item that's requesting an extension of this compliance deadline, which is something that we've done in previous years. But that is the report on the key indicators.
By the way, Amy, just real quick, this is Aurelio. On the compliance for specialists, is this number? I take it all these numbers are fairly typical year on year.
Yes.
In terms of how many people haven't put in their compliance versus just as a percentage, there's nothing out of the ordinary happening.
There isn't, which is why it's not out of the ordinary to also request the extension. I believe that last year we had higher non-compliance than we have this year, but
okay.
At this point of the year.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you. And
Sure.
so I don't believe we have, Adrian. I don't believe we have an action item on this. We just did. We would just accept the report.
Correct. It's just an oral report.
Okay. All right. I'll just deem the report accepted. And with that, thank you again, Amy. We'll be coming back to you several times.
Okay.
With that, we'll go to the report on our eligible applicant initial certifications. And that will be from Adrian.
Yes, sir.
Sure. So this item looks at the applicants who successfully passed the 2017 legal specialist examination.
Adrian, I'm sorry. Is anybody else having trouble hearing Adrian?
I am.
Sorry, is that okay?
Yeah, we're having a little bit of trouble hearing you.
Can you guys hear me now?
Still
better.
a little faint. Yeah.
Okay. So this item is looking at applicants who successfully passed the 2017 legal specialist examination. Just for some background, to receive initial certification, specialists must complete two initial steps. First, pass the exam, and when they pass the exam, they become eligible to apply for initial certification. So for the 2017 exam, 73.3% of the successful applicants have already filed their application. Just for some comparison, for the 2015 exam, 75% of those applicants had already filed their applications within a similar time period. For these applicants, they have until January 31st of 2021 to file their application. So staff continues to follow up with those eligible applicants. And then on attachment A, it shows a breakdown of the different specialty areas, the number of applicants that passed, and how many of them are still pending an application.
Okay, so and again, like I asked Amy on class, these numbers seem fairly comparable.
I would say so. That's what I was saying. Like, so for 2015, it was slightly higher, just by 2 points.
Right.
So I would say we're close.
Right. I'm going to call that the same thing. No better way.
Roy, you're such a numbers guy.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. I'm a stat geek, right? Okay. All right. Well, we'll accept that report, and we will turn to the next item on our agenda. Thank you, Adrian. Again, we will turn to the approval of proposed certification revocations for failure to recertify. And with that, once again, we would turn to Adrian.
Sure. So this item addresses specialists who have failed to recertify by their recertification date. As of December 31st, there are 12 specialists that are pending their recertification. Notifications have been sent to those specialists since the last in-person CBLS meeting. Staff has implemented a new 30-day after notice using the State Bar email system versus the AIM system that we use generally. Consistent with past action to send final notice, staff is recommending to revoke their certifications if they do not respond to the final notice. And then attachment
This
A.
is Mark. Now, yeah, and you know, I have a problem just because as we went back in December and I went through all those estate planning folks and the difference between the responses that I got as a one-on-one email out versus apparently the State Bar if those notices went out, I'm concerned as to whether or not we actually have effective communications to many of those folks. It seemed like there was a small percentage that said, oh, yeah, I just forgot, and most of them swore up and down, I never got a communication.
Correct. So that's why generally there are notifications. There's going to be a 6-month prior, 2-month prior, and a 30-day prior, and then a 7-day after. Those are sent through the new State Bar admissions information management system. But since the last meeting, we're now using the State Bar system to send a 30-day after notice. And I guess in comparison to the last meeting where there were over 100 who were pending recertification, we only have 12 this time.
Right. There's a big cut in the list.
So, did we send out, this is Natalie, did we send out a U.S. mailing as well to those who are still on the list?
When we do the final, I guess per the staff recommendation, when we send a final notice, we do send a physical, as well as an electronic.
And I'm sensitive to Mark's point, and I'm sympathetic to it. There's a certain point, though, that there's only so much we can do. I mean, I think that Adrian and staff have gone through every kind of reasonable channel. I mean, we're not gonna, we're not gonna serve by publication. We're not gonna at a certain point. I mean, I think that we've kind of exhausted the avenues that the CBLS staff and this program can be expected to try to reach out to people, especially when they do have you know, an obligation to kind of keep up on this on their own. I mean, obviously we try to notice people about these things, but so I for one would be ready to um, approve like the revocation if you know as listed in the recommendation. I don't know about anybody else. Mark in particular.
Right. I'm much happier with this smaller list than what we had back in December. And I know that staff has been working hard on reaching out. I applaud their efforts. So,
Okay, can you hear me now?
Okay, so has everyone been able
Hold
to
on, let
both
me, I
look
didn't
at
call
this,
into the
both
conference
look
call.
at the summary for this item and also look at that attachment, the attachment A, which again is,
Oh, okay.
is 12 names.
Just, maybe just mute your, I just want to test to make sure
state
we don't
planning
get any
folks,
feedback.
reintegration,
That
nationality
was the
folks,
problem, the main problem
couple
yesterday.
family law,
So I want to make sure
people,
we're good.
crim law, and a couple workers' comp folks.
Let me bring up my email and then I'll dial in.
I'm comfortable. This is Mark. If you need a motion, I'll make it.
Okay, do I have a motion that those certified specialists listed in attachment A are revoked for failure to recertify if no response to a final communication is received within 30 days? I believe we have a motion from Mark. Is there a second?
This is Norma,
Natalie, I'll
second.
second.
Yeah, I heard a second from Natalie. All in favor? Aye.
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 Anyone opposed? No one opposed, so the motion passes. Thanks again, Adrian, and thanks again for kind of like taking the extra steps, and two, I forgot to thank you earlier for you know repairing this plane while it was in the air, you know, over the last couple of days of like actually like setting up and having this meeting, actually, you know, helping out with this meeting being teleconference, obviously under less than ideal circumstances. So that's a standing thank you for the entire meeting. Thank you for that. Thank you to the staff for that. Okay, we've approved that. So now we would move on to the next item on the agenda, which is the approval of the proposed extension of the legal specialist continuing education deadline. And with that, again, we turn to Adrian.
Sure. So this item is going to look at the Group 1 reporting deadline, which was initially February 3rd of this year. The State Bar has already extended the MCLE deadline to June 30th for attorneys who are still pending their MCLE compliance. And in addition to
Hey, Joe, can you
reporting
hear
late,
us?
they are assessed a penalty fee. As with
Hey,
prior
Joe, can you
action
hear
from
me?
the CBLS, staff is recommending to extend the LS CLE deadline to match the June 30th MCLE deadline.
Testing, 1, 2, 3.
And then there's also going to be a further recommendation to permanently extend the LS CLE deadlines to match the corresponding MCLE deadlines.
Testing.
Okay, and again, this is pretty standard. This happens essentially every reporting period, I take it.
Correct. Yeah. So reporting is
Testing,
always
1, 2,
from
3, testing.
February 1st to January
Testing,
31st
1, 2,
for a
3.
3-year
Audio
period.
tests.
And then
3.
once again, if attorneys are
Testing,
late
1,
in
2,
reporting
3.
their MCLE, they are given an
Audio
extension
tests.
and they are additionally
1, 2,
assessed a
3.
penalty. For past CBLS action, we have typically approved to extend the LS deadlines to match the MCLE minus the financial assessment.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and mute my side.
Okay. And let me just add something very quickly. I went to report my compliance. I'm in this group, and I had a little bit of a problem doing it through AIMS. I was able to like upload the PDF, like the thing, the certifying document, like, but it wasn't actually like listing as approved. I ended up just emailing the legal spec email, and it got taken care of that way. So I don't know how, like, have there been any issues with people like me? I mean, maybe not as tech savvy as I should be. Asking how to actually actually report, or is it just being taken through both channels and like the end results are same?
We're generally accepting it in either method, whether through Ames or through a paper or a scanned copy of the compliance card. Going back to open item A, there were 96 specialists in this compliance group who did start the process in Ames. Unfortunately, only 34 of them had completed the entire process in Ames. We have updated our FAQs to try and assist those specialists in submitting their cases online, which hopefully addresses any further issues.
Okay. I mean, I can just speak for myself. I mean, I got a little bit kind of turned around with some of the things. I mean, when it comes to tech, I'm kind of like one of the chimps at the beginning of 2001. So I mean, I'm not exactly the most most tech savvy person out there. I'm not a representative sample, but it kind of allowed you to start, and then you were able to submit and then it didn't let you go and like complete at least from what I could tell, like it wasn't quite all that user friendly. But anyway, it was able to get reported, and that was handled through legal spec as always.
Yeah.
But so thanks, Adrian.
You got it. And if okay, actually, Aurelio, I'd probably like to follow up with you sometime after this meeting just to see what issues you encountered, just so we can hopefully kind of address them.
Oh yeah. Like look, I mean, and that's the thing. I mean, and it would be. I think it would probably be better to try to make it to make it like easier for staff, like to have this whole thing like wrapped up on the user's end.
Correct.
So we have. Yes.
Can I just add
So-
one follow-up comment?
Yes. Sure.
I think it's a good idea for Adrian to follow up. And if anybody experiences that, it'd be good for us to reach out in the event that we need to come up with perhaps like a tool or a resource that we could put up there for anybody who's reporting, that requires a little more guidance or anything. Because, Aurelio, you think you might not be an outlier altogether. It's not atypical for us to hear about system issues. So please, anybody who's experienced that, feel free to reach out to us because we really want to make this system as user-friendly as possible.
Okay, so I'll talk with Adrian about that. And again, the system's set up pretty well. Like to upload things, it just seemed like there were a couple things to stop me, and like I just kind of threw up my hands and just ended up emailing in, and that was handled very smoothly. So, so with that, do I have a motion to extend the continuing legal education deadline as noted in the recommendation?
This is Mark. I'll make that motion.
All right, Mark moves. Do we have a second?
I'll second, it's Rob.
Rob seconds. All right, all those in favor? Aye.
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 And any opposed? Hearing none, that carries unanimously. And now we'll move to our next item, discussion and potential approval of the standards for determining the creation of a new specialty. And with that, we'll again turn to Amy.
Okay. So, again, this was an item that was discussed at the February 4th meeting. At that meeting, we really had two agenda items. It was this one as well as the work plans. And at this meeting, there were recommendations made to modify the standards a bit. I believe the standards were shared with everyone as an attachment to this agenda item. And they appear in red line, as you can see, so you can identify what the changes were. Today, what we're doing is presenting the final document for board approval. I just want to make sure that everybody has received that document and has been able to take a look at it. Is that the case?
Yes, this is Aurelio. I was taking a look at it. There aren't that many red line changes.
No, there aren't. What the changes are, we had discussion, but those were the only recommended changes during that call. And so what we're doing today is we are hoping to, we're seeking your approval, the board approval, to approve these changes and to make them effective immediately.
I'm good with those changes.
Yeah, likewise. I think the biggest thing was to under the substantive feasibility part, to like be a little more forceful in telling them you've got to identify all these things, and that's taken care of here. So I'm fine with it.
Right.
So, okay. Do I have a motion to approve these standards as redlined here and have them become effective immediately?
This is Mark. I'll make that motion.
Here's a motion from Mark. Do I have a second?
This is Norma, second.
Have a second from Norma. All in favor? Aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries unanimously. All right. And now we will turn to the review of the IAPP, the International Association of Privacy Professionals, application for accreditation as a specialty certification program in privacy law. And with that, I turn to Adrian.
Sure. So this item is actually a continuation from a December CBLS meeting item where the IAPP submitted an application for accreditation of their certification program in privacy law. At that meeting, the CBLS discussed questions to submit to the IAPP for additional information. At the February CBLS teleconference, the CBLS confirmed those questions, and I have since submitted those questions to the IAPP, and they have provided the responses that I have sent to you, and I'll also show it on the webcast.
Okay. Does everybody have access to those? Is everybody looking at the IAPP response to?
I'm looking at the one that Adrian emailed to us. This is Mark.
Yes. Yes. I mean, the thing that jumps out at me is that they're confirming that there's no privacy law exam, right? That's separate and apart from the IAPP generally. I'm
Correct.
I think I'm-
That's my takeaway from all of this. Is Mark. I mean, it's great to have an association. I don't see any specialization really in these answers. I'm only working my way through the first couple of pages, but as far as specialization in California, I'm not terribly impressed.
They also don't address who the clients of the attorneys are, which I think is important for our specialization process. I mean, we're looking for protection of the public, and as we discussed, a lot of the clients on the privacy law area are going to be large corporations.
Right. Right. I mean, we're not going to have a lot of, especially the public protection sort of intent of the program. We don't. This seems like a very sophisticated area of law, or specialized area of law, and this doesn't have an exam in the law itself. I mean, one of the things is they have an IAPP ethics exam or a recent MPRE, which seems that seems odd to me, because the MPRE is a legal exam. There's a portion of it's just obviously an ethics exam for practitioners, but it doesn't have anything specific to this area of law.
Well, also, MPRE isn't a requirement for entry. So, how many attorneys actually take an MPRE after being admitted?
Right. It almost seems like I mean again I don't want to talk the specific program. It almost seems like an end around to like the program's requirement for a specific ethics exam, because the MPRE and the MPRE passage rate is relative to other exams kind of astronomical. So I mean, I don't know where everybody else's head is at on this thing. I'm very uncomfortable having a specialty that gets reciprocity from us that does not have a substantive exam on the law itself, separate and apart from the exam that every non-lawyer that joins this thing can take.
This is Mark. As you know, our new guideline and mantra is that we are part of the State Bar and here to protect the consumer. There is absolutely nothing in any of the materials that they have provided that lets us see that by recognizing them as a specialist, they are in any way protecting the consumer. So I would not move to approve this as a new specialty area.
Right.
This is Natalie. I agree completely.
And also, we're not stopping. The thing is, like, what is the value added from California reciprocity versus like the administrative cost that would come to us, and what is frankly like these? I think we were hitting on it a little earlier. A lot of the consumers here are going to be fairly sophisticated. I would imagine fairly sophisticated businesses and the like, and the certification as it is will already carry some weight with them, I would imagine. But as a specific legal specialization body, I don't know what. I just don't. This just doesn't seem to fit what we're going for.
Yeah.
Anybody else have any comments?
Yeah, as a member of the public, I agree with everything that was said. This is a trade association, if you will, that's giving a certificate, and yet then wants to call the lawyers certified specialists in the state of California. And like you said, there's nothing that differentiates a non-attorney versus an attorney with the same certification, right? They don't have to do any more law or any more work. So to me, it's really not what all of the other specialties are about.
Right. Right. Okay, so are we? I'm just getting kind of a sense of the virtual room here. I get a sense that we're ready to deny this application.
I will make the motion. This is Mark. I'll make the motion to deny the application for recognition as a specialty area.
Well, before we take the motion, can I ask a question? It's more of a kind of a rules of order. On what grounds are we allowed, if someone can remind me, to deny a request? Do we need to specify we're denying this request based upon A, B, or C, or do we have the right to just say we're denying this request, and we can give written notification if requested?
Rob, this is Adrian. I can definitely get clarification on that if we want to continue the actual action to the next CBLS meeting. I guess in terms of my own notes, I was noting that the CBLS had mentioned there's no substantive exam, there's no proof of protecting consumers, and it's a trade association for the reasons for denying the application currently.
I also think it's important to note that they could not confirm who their constituents would include, who this would actually serve, right? Their client definitions. However, I do think that in the rules, I just want to highlight in the rules for the legal specialization, the committee, the CBLS, is authorized to approve or deny without specificity on the grounds. So, we can look into it by the next meeting, but I just want to highlight that, and we can pull that up if we need to, wait on a decision, a more specificity on the grounds. But I do want to highlight that is in the rules, and we could share that as well.
Yeah, I mean, I would lean towards, just a denial. I mean, I don't think we have to, really go into the detail as to the reasons. Also, I would imagine that, as these denials go, they are kind of perpetually like denials, without prejudice. Like they're like theoretically, like this could be this body. There could be changes to it. There could be different showings made to us. There could be different things such that we would potentially reconsider it in the future. But I mean, I don't think any decision right now is in perpetuity keeping this program from ever being recognized by the CBLS.
This is Mark. I would hope not. That would simply be a different application meeting different, requirements, and it's a different program that they're presenting to us.
Right. It's just we're just not comfortable at this time approving. That's the sense I get, and I think everyone's on the same page for that.
I agree.
So I believe I had a motion from Mark to deny at this time, but But I also get the sense that from Rob's question, like, do we want to wait on the actual strictures of how we would deny with Adrian bringing that at the next meeting?
This is Norma. I'm ready to deny now. If there's, we don't need to have a specific explanation as to why. And we actually do have the reasons already. So anyway, that's my say on that.
Yeah, my question was more about, is there specific criteria that we have to cite? Like, I'm thinking, I've been involved with public charter schools, and it was, it didn't meet this guideline, therefore we're declining. Did we have to cite a specific thing? But if we can write our denial in paragraph, then I'm ready to move forward. So mine was more of a question of order versus whether or not we should do it.
Right, and I take it that we are that from what we just heard, that we are completely within our power to simply deny at this time. As insufficient.
I agree. And that satisfied me. Thank you.
Okay. So once again, I would ask you. So do we have from Mark? Do we have the same motion to deny this application?
Yeah, I don't think I need to change my motion. I think it works as it is.
Okay. And do we have a second?
This is Natalie. I second.
Rob, I'll second.
I'll go with Natalie on this one. She just got in before you, Rob.
Sounds good.
So we have a second, and so all those in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, that carries unanimously. And so I believe that's the last item on our open session. So, Adrian, I'll just ask you: do we want to take a short break and call back in to the closed session number?
Yeah, if you guys decide to do that, we can definitely do that.
Oh, okay. How about I'll just propose this to everybody. How about we call back in at I have 9:51 right now. How about 10:05?
That works for me. Thanks.
That works.
Works for me. Thank you.
That's good.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Sorry.
Yes,
A couple of technical issues.
Closed.
Sorry.
Uh-oh.
Yeah,
Technical issues.
Technical issues. Yeah.
Yes.
So we need to adjourn the closed, the open session, because
Right.
then we're going to move into closed, so we can end that session. And one other point I'd like to make is that we have a mandatory meeting on the executive team, so I just want to say bye now, because I will not be able to join the closed session. Neither will Audrey or Lisa Cummins, who are on the line right now. So just want to thank everybody for a really productive meeting, given all of the circumstances and the workaround making this happen. So thank you. I just want to make sure that we're following the protocol and signing off for the closed session. So I'll leave that to you, Odelio.
Okay.
Amy, and this is Mark Lester. I want to thank you guys over there. You've done a remarkable job of getting us together and making this happen under extraordinary circumstances. So thank you. I know this was not easy.
Thank you.
Likewise,
And I have
likewise.
to say that key to this has been Adrian, so he really deserves a big accolade in this as a highlight. Thank you.
All right, Adrian.
Thank you, Adrian.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you
Adrian.
all.
Yes, thank you, Amy. All right, so with that, I would, because again, I've talked about this several times. Like I don't need a motion to adjourn. I can just adjourn it. Right, Adrian?
Probably
Correct.
best practice
You
is
would
to
just-
make the motion.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I make that motion. It's Mark.
Mark moves it. Do I have a second?
Norma second.
Norma seconds. Fantastic. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Anybody opposed? Hearing nobody, the open session is adjourned, and we'll come back for closed session in about 12 minutes at 10:05.
Perfect.
Okay,
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Los Angeles. Suddenly, can you hear us? So we have double who's in audio. We have feedback going on. Suddenly, can you hear us? No. Okay, you can hear us, yes? So, okay. Do you have the Polycom on as well?
Yeah, that should be on.
Okay. Okay, but Tom, why do we have the Polycom on in both locations? We're gonna have feedback. If we just dialed in from here.
I'm waiting for Joe to show up over there.
Okay, if the Polycom is on here, it should not also be connected there, correct?
Yeah.
That's why we're hearing this feedback. So can you?
Joe to show up.
So we have dialed into Polycom here, correct?
Correct.
And they're hearing us on video right now, correct?
Yes.
So they should hang up the Polycom now, correct?
You hit the mute
Hit the
button.
mute button on your Polycom. On telephone. Okay.
Okay, can you hear us?
So can you hear us now? Sure. We hear you, yes, okay. Someone on the phone, can you identify yourself? Can you hear me?
Might be the monitor.
Should we mute the Polycom or the video?
I think the icon speaker.
Well, just if you mute the video, we have Polycom here, mute the video, and then we're all hearing on Polycom. Okay, suddenly, do me a favor. Unmute the Polycom, but mute the video from the tabletop. Mute the video and unmute the Polycom. Okay, Los Angeles, can you hear me on the Polycom?
I can't imagine.
Yes. People on the phone, can you hear me on the Polycom? Can you hear me? Okay. Now, LA, say something, and we're gonna see if people on the phone can hear LA. Donna. We hear you. Someone on the phone, can you did you hear what Donna said? Donna, say it again. Okay. Okay, it sounds like we are in business. Okay, Donna, we're ready to go. Yeah, well, there's a whole room full of people here, but they're all sitting on the other side. So.
Social distancing.
That's funny.
Only all of the virus.
They're nice and close. Okay.